Good morning. This isn't my normal style of video. If you're new to this channel, then normally I'm out in the field somewhere, either in the hills, mountains, coastline, countryside, or somewhere in the UK, explaining to you about my landscape photography, explaining how I do it, why I do it, and the methods that I use as well. And I try and get a bit of a story in there behind it and take you along on the journey with me. So for a long time I've wanted to have a small camper van that I can go away with. Now, before you guys all groan and go, oh no, it's just another UK landscape photographer explaining about his van, yeah, that's what it is. But I need you just to bear with me for a little bit. So if you're new to the channel, please check out the other videos as well. Have a look at those and join me on these short van videos as well, and just sort of see what it is I'm doing. It may be of use to some of you anyway. The reason I have to do it is because if I don't start working on this van soon and take you along with me on that journey, you're not going to see any video content and I'm not going to get the van finished. So I'm going to be doing every so often a couple of videos mixed in with landscape photography videos on setting up this van and how I went about that process. So today it's all about insulation. I've done one side, well, I've partially done one side of the back of the van already. And we're going to take out the paneling on the other side, possibly the headlining as well, maybe get onto the floor, but we'll see how it works out and start getting some of that insulation in. So I'm going to share with you a little bit about the vehicle. It's a Volkswagen Caddy Maxi, which is the 7-seater version, and using the 7-seater version meant that I can take the third row of seats out, and that gives me a reasonable space in the back. I can then fold the middle row of seats down flat, or take them out if I need to, and use that as the van space when I want to use it as a camper. Why a MicroCamper? Well, those of you that have been on the channel for a while will know that I've also got a couple of children, and we still need to use this as a large family vehicle. It's our second vehicle. We've got another vehicle as well, but when we go away as a family, this is the big one that we use for camping or any of our longer trips. So it needs to work well as an everyday family vehicle. I also use it as my commuting vehicle backwards and forwards to work, so I wanted something that was relatively good on fuel. I've opted for the 2-litre 150 brake horsepower version with the automatic gearbox, and I'm getting about 43 to 44 miles per gallon out of it backwards and forwards to work. It's got about 50,000 miles on the clock, which is absolutely nothing for a Volkswagen, which is another reason why I went for these, for one of these vehicles. They are robust, they'll last forever. I should get another 100, 150 miles out of the engine, no problem. And since I keep my cars for probably about 10 years, that's exactly what I need. So let's get into the back of the vehicle and I'll explain to you how things are going to work. Now I've just folded this back seat down so you can see the idea behind it, and you can see that actually it gives me, because I'm relatively short, just enough room to sit in the back. So that gives me a lot of space. Now I've got a lot of junk in here at the moment, so I'm going to get all of that junk out. And then what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be removing all these panels down this side, possibly this one, possibly around the back as well. Start looking up underneath the headlining and putting our insulation in there. Now the beauty of this vehicle, like I said, is I can fold this down. The idea is that this will form a seat. I'm going to put a back up here, and I'm also going to get it set up so that with an extension down towards where you guys are, I can turn this into a bed with some storage down the other side as well. So it was a little bit daunting starting this. I've never done anything like this before. To be honest, my DIY skills aren't the best in the world, but I kind of decided that the best way to start this was just to actually get stuck in. So I did a little bit of research into different materials to use, a few different designs, and I'm at the point now really where to go any further I've just got to kind of go, you know what, we're just going to get on with it and make the best of it that we can. So I'm going to clear all of this out. I'm going to take some of these panels off, and I'll show you what I'm doing a little bit later when I make a bit more progress. Time to stop talking, time to start working. I'll be back in a minute. So I've got the first panel off, and I've just taken a bit of trim off along the back of the van to help taking that out, and I've put it back in place. And the reason I've done that is because I don't want to lose any of the parts, because everything that I've got in here is going back into the van. So one of the reasons that I went for the Maxi Life was because, unlike other van builds, I want to keep this as original to being a car as well. And the original trim which has come out is going back. Now I know that's going to give me a little bit less space, but what it does mean is that if I want to take everything out and just use it as a family vehicle, it's easier to do that. I'm going to have everything in where it needs to go. Neither do I have to worry about creating any sort of paneling or coverings for the wall, the roof, the ceiling of anything. I just put the original trim back into the van and use that. So that's the idea behind it. If you're going to do a van, then get yourself a set of these trim removal tools. They're really quite quite good. And make it just a bit easier to get things out and to take your panels out. Unfortunately, it's inevitable, I guess, that because some of these need pulling out and prising out, they're not designed to come away. I did break a clip on one of the panels. Now normally it wouldn't be so bad because I could just replace it, but this is one of the ones which is moulded to the panel. So that's upstairs with a bit of high strength glue on it at the moment, just warming up, and hopefully that'll do it. But if it doesn't, it's not the end of the world. There's going to be plenty of insulation behind here. That'll help sort of make sure that everything stays in place and sits nicely. So I've got to take this section off with the speaker on it. I've just taken some photographs as well of some positions of some wires and cables, so when I come to reassemble it I can refer to the photographs and I'll see exactly how things went back, because I've got to disconnect some of the wires underneath here before I take the speaker section out. Okay, next stage. Okay, so I've taken some of this trim off, and already you can hear it sounds a bit more echoey in the van. I don't know if it's coming over on the sound, but it certainly sounds like it where I'm sat at the moment. So the first thing we're going to be looking at is some soundproofing, and we've already got some soundproofing applied to the van already from the manufacturer. It's these panels which are on here, these black sort of stick-on strips, try and take out some of this drumming type effect. But I've got some additional panels to put on, something a bit extra, because obviously if I'm going to be sleeping in here as well, I want it to be as quiet, as cosy and sound deadened as possible. I want to use it to do some vlogs and video work in, and I want to stop that drumming effect. It'll also obviously help when we're driving along the road as well. You know, it's going to keep the road noise down considerably. So the product I've gone for is by a British company, a British soundproofing company called DODO Mat. And like I say, it's self-adhesive. You just cut it to shape and stick it on. Now we don't have to cover every single inch of the van in this panel. This is really to stop the sound deadening. And once we've done that, we've got some foil backed insulation to go on as well. We'll try and get that whenever we can, and then we'll fill all these cavities up in here with an insulating material to try and keep this part of the van much warmer. Now I'm not 100% sure how that's going to work. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to be able to sort of get every bit of it done, because like I said, it isn't just a panel van. I am trying to do as much as I can without taking absolutely everything out of the van and changing it too much. But we'll get these cut, get these stuck on, and then look at some of the insulation and put things back together. So I've got most of the soundproofing done, and I'm ready to refit the wheel arch cover. Now the next bit to do is to, and I've actually already done it, is to put some kind of the first layer of insulation on. So I've got this like foil backed, it looks about 6mm, maybe 3mm actually, 3 to 6mm insulation material once again by DODO Mat. Self-adhesive backing, and it just sticks to the panels of the vehicle, and this creates its first layer of insulation. Now there's various different theories, and if you can look online and research it about what materials you should use, whether you should use a vapor barrier or not, it comes down to a huge different things. But I'm using this system by DODO Mat. It seems to be reasonably well recommended, and this is going to be the first layer of it. Now I haven't actually done a video of putting this in and installing it, and the reason for that is quite simple, is because when I did the other side previously, it's not pretty. It's not easy getting your hands in behind all these areas inside a van. Now if you were using a panel van that hadn't been set up or designed as a car, you wouldn't have the same issues, because all of this would be empty and you would be able to get straight to those panels, and it's relatively easy to do. But trying to cut this into shape, and it is really sticky glue that they use, and getting your hands in behind to fit everything is really quite difficult. So all I can say after experience of doing the other side is all you can do is your absolute best, and that's what I've done here. So as you see from some of the photographs hopefully that I've put up on the screen, it isn't pretty, but it's been done. So let's get that out of the way. So the next bit, the main sort of thing for insulation I'm going to be using, basically, once again, you know, people talk about different insulation you can use. You can use lamb's wool, you can use various other types of insulation. But whatever you use inside a van or a vehicle, what you don't want it to do is withhold moisture. You don't want it to become an area where it can grow mold. Because I'm sure in a build this sort of size and with the restrictions that it's got, there is going to be some moisture build up, and I want that to be able to dry out relatively quickly. And this material is made from recycled plastics. It doesn't retain water, it will dry out. It comes in like I think a 2-inch sort of thickness and a 1-inch. I've got both. I'm going to be using the 2-inch one to get inside these panels and fit in there as much as I can, and I'm just going to fill in these voids and do what I can with it, and then that'll be this area of the van done before we move on to maybe the headlining area. Right, let's get started on this. Sorry, I don't know if you can see me. It's quite difficult trying to film this and show you what I'm doing at the same time in the back of a small vehicle, but basically this is quite difficult to cut because it's really quite thick, but I'm just using some scissors because I have to kind of fit it into small gaps and small areas. I'm just going to cut it into strips and put those in one at a time, and as I fold them in, I should be able to fill the voids up relatively quickly, or that's the plan anyway. Okay, so that's a lot of the insulation done in this part of the van. Certainly the area below the window. I've got a few more areas to push more insulation into, a few of the crevices and cracks where I can get to. Obviously, as I said before, you know, you can't do this exactly as you would a panel van such, because I just haven't got access to those areas of the van, but we'll do the best that we can. Next stage for me, beyond this, depending on how time goes, will be to take down this headlining panel and have a look in behind there. Now I haven't had the headlining out before, so I'm going to take a small section away from the back, because about 1/3 of it will come away quite easily, but the rest of it is the full length of the vehicle, so that's going to take a little bit more thought, a little bit more working out of what we're going to do, because I probably do need to do that, and that'll probably be next time. We'll have a look. So I'm going to call it a day for this video now. I don't know if you can see up behind me where I've kind of taken down some headlining panel and applied some insulation up there. That's probably about as far as I've got. And the reason for that is when I look further down through the vehicle and try and look along the headline, I can see that there's quite a bit of work to do to take that down. There's some clips which got to come down, which look a bit confusing and a bit tricky. There's quite a few grab handles and things to be removed, and I think it's probably a fair bit of work all on its own, so I don't want to go too far with it. I don't want to rush it and ruin it. It's going to be a job for another day, when I've got some extra bits and pieces and some more confidence, because I don't think the original clips will fit back into positions where they are now, so I might have to do a bit of work with that. So for now, all I'm going to do is put this headlining back together, do a bit of design work and working out on the floor, so I figure out how I'm going to put the floor in, and I'll see you in the next video. I know this has been a bit boring for some of you guys that just want videos about photography. If you're interested in vans and photography, hopefully it got you interested in my channel, and you can check out some of the other videos on photography as well. So if that is your thing, I'll see you next time. For now, I'm going to tidy up, sort out, edit some video for you coming up with pure photography on it, and maybe next time we'll be back out the field. So I'll see you later.